Hello, I've got the following question. Can animals sense north? And if yes, how do they do it?
This is a great question. And the short answer is yes, animals actually can detect north. So at least certain animals can. And the longer version is scientists have wondered about this for ages. Like, it has always been a great mystery how turtles can return to their hometown where they were born to lay their eggs, or how migratory birds, for example, can fly huge distances. Like, imagine from the tip of Africa up to the northern point of Europe. So very long distance and always the same path. And so scientists have proven this only fairly recently in 1972, when they discovered that the brains of animals actually react to changes in the magnetic field of the Earth, or in the experiment they had an artificial field. And so to understand this, we kind of have to know a few things about magnetism first, because the Earth has a fluid iron core that gives it a rather weak magnetic field, but that magnetic field spans over the complete globe. Like, it comes from the North Pole and goes all the way around the Earth in a C shape back into the South Pole. And this field has a couple of properties, three of which are very important for our use. So first of all, we have the polarity. We have a North Pole and a South Pole, and now this is where it gets confusing. The magnetic South Pole is actually at the geographic North Pole, and the geographic South Pole has the magnetic North Pole. So in Antarctica, which is at the South Pole, there's actually the magnetic North Pole, if you get what I mean. And so, other than polarity, we need the intensity, because the field is not everywhere the same strength. For example, you might know fridge magnets that are kind of magnetic, but then there's also really strong magnets that just pull much harder if you try to separate them, for example, if they stick together, or if you try to put two North Poles together, they just resist much more. So the strength isn't the same everywhere of the field. And there's two poles, North and South Pole, and the third property we need to know is inclination. This is the direction that the field is going into. Like, you might have seen such an image where there are lines coming out of the North Pole going into the South Pole, and the inclination is basically the direction the line is relative to the Earth. So at the North Pole, it goes straight up into the air like a flagpole. Same at the South Pole. But at the equator, like if you were to put a belt around the Earth, it's actually parallel to the ground. So it kind of matters where you are on the Earth to see what direction the field lines go into. And these properties allow the animals not just to have a compass, like knowing where north is, but also knowing where they are relative to north. Like, for example, to know if they are really close to north, to the magnetic South Pole, or if they are rather far away, and if they're rather on the equator or very close to the poles. And so we now know what we're dealing with at the north side of the question. Now let's look at the animals, because this part is more confusing, more complicated, because there's actually several theories that try to explain the sense that some animals have. For example, one of the most famous theories is the magnetite theory. The magnetite theory says that there's this substance, magnetite it is called, which is similar to iron, so it's magnetic, and the scientists that believe that think that animals with the sense have small magnetite particles in their body. And they believe this because they once found bacteria that had small magnetite particles, and they could show that the bacteria uses these particles to find the direction it likes best to go into, like find better living conditions. And they now think that if bacteria can have these magnetite particles and use them, maybe animals do. So the scientists looked at a lot of different kinds of animals because, for example, some insects have magnetoreception, some mammals, many birds. So it's a lot of different species. And so they looked at a lot of different animals and a lot of different parts in these animals. And they found similar things. They found things that kind of look like magnetite, but they're not quite sure yet if these things are actually used for magnetoreception or if they just happen to be magnetic. Like, for example, we humans as well have some iron inside of us. You might have heard that you have to eat a lot of spinach to get enough iron, but that doesn't mean that our bodies use the iron to help us navigate the magnetic direction. So it's kind of confusing, and while this theory isn't bad, we definitely need more evidence to say that this is the ultimate theory to explain magnetoreception. Then there's this other theory, which goes a little in a different direction. It's working with quantum physics, and it already sounds complicated. So the theory is about how animals, because the scientists found that some birds that have magnetoreception, reset their magnetic sense every day at a specific time when the light changes, like the daylight. And they were wondering because previously they didn't really connect light with magnetism for this specific problem. But now they were thinking that maybe the eyes of the animal that recognize the light, because we as well have eyes that recognize light. Maybe the eyes of the animals are special, and when they see light, the magnetic field interacts with the receptors that see the light and kind of tell the receptors if the magnetic field changes. This, once again, is a theory that's kind of plausible, but it's not completely proven. And there are many, many more theories, many which are more plausible and many which are less plausible. So this is still a very active topic, which we hope to figure out in the next few years. So stay updated, stay tuned, stay curious for that. To conclude this, yes, animals can sense north, but we don't quite know how it works. We have some ideas how it might work,